like erasing the original actor and replacing it with Hayden Christensen.
Idiot Von Can't act.
Which doesn't make sense because he doesn't die young. He dies.
Exactly. Hello.
So.
Let us, instead of ripping on those 3 fan films, let us celebrate what is Star Wars.
Star
Yes.
Wars.
Let's start this. Let's start the celebration. I've cracked open a cold one.
Someone has their audio on.
Am I too loud?
Nope, you're good. Was that you, Miles?
No, it was me.
No, it wasn't. All right. We ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
Yes, it also looks like Jen's in the chat room. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen. We talked about you in the last show, Jen. So. All right. So we're good to go, and.
Don't sound so excited there.
Do you want to? Do you want to introduce the show, Adam?
Me? No, that's your job, dude.
Okay, very good. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast. I don't know what episode this is. I was going to say the episode number, but this is our Star Wars episode 4, A New Hope celebration, right? We're going to talk about what we love about this movie, how it's impacted us, and everything. We might even talk about the things that bother us yet, but this is about celebrating this movie. And we absolutely love this movie. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Herzog.
Hi, I'm M. Ciro Garcia.
And with us, live from wherever he's at, welcome, Michael.
Hello, I'm coming to you from my geek den in Annapolis, Maryland.
This is Michael Dougherty, the creator and brainchild behind Browncoat's Redemption. Michael.
He's been on the show. He's no stranger to the show, that's for sure.
He's a pal.
He's wearing, for those of you in the chat room can see, he's wearing his green Yoda Jedi cloak.
He's also the genius behind the soon-to-be-released Z-Con. Take a con, take some kids, add some zombies, stir.
Yes.
Yeah. Add a little bit of cream. Very, very good. Well, very good. Well, this is awesome. I'm so excited. I was excited to watch. You know, this time when I was preparing for the show, you know, my son's 8. It was his first time working through all 6 movies, and yes, we did watch his fan films because, you know, they really do, despite the way we dog in them, there's something about Jar Jar that does appeal to kids.
Yeah.
And he does not to us as adults necessarily, but he enjoyed Jar Jar to some degree. Obviously, the droids and all the things that, you know, the kiddie things, he appreciated that. So, and I don't disparage him that yet. So
he's a kid.
He's a kid, so there's some allowance there. But yeah, so it was fun to kind of watch these again and kind of get into that. But yeah, so well, why don't we just leap in? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this movie that we're excited about. Do you want to get us started here?
Me? Talk about Star Wars? Nah.
Yeah.
Gee, like when I was putting the notes together, I was like, I don't even know where to start, except
the
only thing I could think of was you know, where were you the first time you saw this movie, and what impression did it leave on you? And for me, God, in '77 I was 6 years old, and I guess that would be first grade, and I remember my mom taking my brother and I think some other family friends, and we all went to see it, and I was knocked out. I was just like, I couldn't believe this existed. I couldn't believe someone could make that. And you know, I was as a 6-year-old, I thought, oh, what part of the universe is that? I want to go live there.
Yeah.
It opened a door for me that has never really closed. So you know, I still watch it with childlike wonder. What about you guys?
Mike, how about you?
See, I'm a little bit younger. I was born in '76, so I kind of came into Star Wars backwards. Like, I started with Empire and then went back to find the original show or movie. But to me, it was, you know, I grew up with that period of time where their toys were like pre-order before pre-order existed, and just the excitement of, putting my figures of having like something I watched on TV be able to play in my hands and just extend your imagination. Like Star Wars just kicked open wide my brain.
How about you, Miles?
For me, there was a lot of hype even before the movie came out. There was already kids with trading cards and toys talking about it. My uncle had the soundtrack on an LP, and so there's pictures from the movie, and it already had something epic about it even before I saw it. And then my parents took me and my little brother, and we saw it. This was actually our first drive-in movie, so we saw it at a drive-in movie, and it didn't fail to live up to the hype, and it actually exceeded the hype that I had before I saw it. So that fueled my imagination for throughout my childhood. I just enjoyed it even my teenage years and adult years. It's just something that doesn't go away.
Yeah, I never saw Star Wars in the theater.
Wow.
So, and it was just when I was growing up, my family did not go to a lot of movies. But what I do remember about Star Wars Episode 4 was all the hype. Because as a kid, I was 7, 8 years old, and I mean, they brought R2-D2 to our school with the guy that played him at our elementary school. I remember him being there, and so that was very cool. I remember they had these little handheld toys in Sears that you could like turn and you could watch clips of the movie kind of going in action. The ViewMaster reels that they had of the series.
Viewmaster.
Yeah, I mean, so there were so many awesome toys, and like then of course the toys themselves, which I never got any of them, but all like I was fascinated by the Land Speeder. I loved the Land Speeder toy. I care less about the Millennium Falcon. The Land Speeder was.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. At the time, as a kid, I know, but that's what I really loved was that Land Speeder. I thought it was like the coolest thing to have a car without wheels.
I love that you could like pull it backwards and let it go, and it would ride.
I know, like without like in the air. No, I'm just kidding. But it was totally that's what I remember as the media hype for me.
And this is before the internet or anything like that, but it was on all the. My parents watched 60 Minutes, and so Sunday nights there's even a clip of the Star Wars movie, and I was just like, it was right after the scene where the Star Destroyer apprehends the rebel ship and the stormtroopers come through, and I'm just thinking, wow.
Yeah.
I'm on a little black and white TV.
Yeah, it's classic. And unfortunately, with this new movie coming out, I know we're talking about 4, but I'm just as into the toys now. Like, I want that robot droid that they can wheel around.
The Rolly one?
Yeah. I want him. I want the Millennium Falcon. That's like the drone. It's just come on, who doesn't? I mean, so I feel like, man, just give me a couple $100, I can just have a heyday on this stuff.
So, well, see, like this leading up to what is now episode 7.
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking, but we don't hear him. Hello? Mike?
Mike?
Lost my mic. Oh, his mic pooped out.
Yeah, his mic pooped out. Blaming his mic. He's blaming his mic. We can make fun of him now. I can't do anything about it now. Yeah, I'm getting a fist.
Oh, but I'm sorry. Well, I can say that I took because I've been to some of the Think Geek nerd trivia nights and have won a couple of times, and I haven't used all the gift certificates that I won, but I used them to pre-order the BD2 or the B2. Oh shoot, I can't think of his little name.
Yeah, the BD2, whatever it is. But
they
have them at Target. I just like, that's what I got.
I ordered like the one that has the app and you can control it. I ordered the big fun one.
And how much is that one running, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it's 150.
Well, I know they have a drone that you can get from Target, which is like about $100, but the really awesome drone that lights up this Millennium Falcon is like almost $200.
Oh, wow, that's got to be epic.
And that's the one that I want. But,
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yay!
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, so the BB-8's 149, and it's on my Christmas list.
Christmas
as I was
is gonna be
saying,
expensive time of year.
As I was saying before, my connection rudely dropped me. This actually what I'm feeling right now, leading up to Episode 7, reminds me of exactly what I felt like, during the time of the original trilogy.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so, all that to say, we got in this discussion because of the toys that are out there, but I am looking forward to the toys that are here. I think, and for me, Star Wars Episode 4. When I think about that movie, it was really the toys, because I didn't experience the movie live at the time. I mean, I've seen the movie how many times now, but that time period I didn't see it live. So, but yeah. So where are we at? Let's move on here. First impression that it left you, Miles. I mean, maybe we covered this a little bit already. But what was the first Star Wars?
Well, epic. Just as soon as this little ship running for a giant ship that just keeps going and going, and then it overtakes it, and when you're just on this roller coaster ride for a little while. And occasionally you have a brief little dip. You to catch your breath, but then something else is happening. So there's no time to really slow down. There's always something going on, something important going on in this movie. I mean, we dug on George Lucas a lot for the other three movies, but this is a masterpiece. In its pacing and everything.
What I personally loved about it. No, go ahead.
Oh, so when I saw it as a child, I mean, this was an important part of my childhood for years. I mean, when we talk about the toys, I mean, I love the Millennium Falcon. So when I got that for Christmas one year, I mean, I was, in heaven. I mean, I think I might still have. It's not in the best of shape, but I think it's still in my parents' attic and maybe a few other Star Wars toys. So my family, as well as millions of other families, helped make George Lucas very rich. Just merchandise alone.
But
Right.
Mike, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
No, I mean, Star Wars for me was just like a master thesis in storytelling before I knew what it was, because it just starts right in the middle of the story.
Mhm.
It doesn't start like at the beginning of an adventure. It's like you're in the middle of shit going down because the Empire is looking for Princess Leia, and you have no knowledge outside of the scrolling information before that, but you're dropped right in the middle of the story, which was the best place to be.
Well, and I think that while you are dropped kind of in the middle of the story, at the same time you are at the beginning of an adventure. I mean, this is the hero's journey, the Joseph Campbell's mythic journey that George Lucas is taking us on, and it captures us. I mean, as a kid, at 7, 8 years old, watching this, I'm looking at, at that time, what captured me, the robots. What kid doesn't like robots? But there's such a greater story to this that we're just kind of drug along for, and I think the thing that Star Wars does for me is it fueled my imagination. I mean, what I was going to say when you had the Millennium Falcon, I mean, you played with that because you imagined being in that world. You created your own stories, your own rescues. I remember filming a little, silent film I did with my brother of a spaceship, the space shuttle going off into space and going to some planet, and the robots that were running were R2-D2 and C-3PO. I mean, even though they weren't, it kind of matched. It fueled imagination. I think that's what I loved about it.
There's so much there, and I mean, it was It was inspired by, like, because as I was reading up on the movie, I mean, it was inspired by like the works of Akira Kurosawa and Joseph Campbell and the Flash Gordon series. I mean,
Yep.
can you imagine being a kid back then when there wasn't even any space flight? So you could imagine that this world could exist. But then we were all born after man landed on the moon, and we were exposed to the space shuttle. So to us, watching that, it wasn't just a fantasy. It was, we could probably do that.
Yeah.
And the
absolutely.
impact that Star Wars has had on everything, on science, on culture, on history, on art, and in literature. It's just been, and I know it's just a dorky hour-and-a-half long movie, but it's just a beautiful little spark that set off this wonderful fire that like the likes of J.J. Abrams, Kevin Smith, the Wachowski siblings, I there's so many that they're all like their names are all log jamming in my brain and I can't get them out. All of that beautiful world is pretty much all of them could go back and go, oh yeah, Star Wars definitely. Star Wars had a huge impact, which I still like. We'll have to do a whole separate show about how George decided, nope, not good enough. Let me do it over, and made a big giant. I mean, I did prepare for us a list of all the changes just in this movie, and when I pasted it in, and it's 3.5 pages long.
We probably read all of them, that's for sure.
No, we're not reading all of them, but it was just an idea that started with an $11 million budget that grossed. Let's see. Miles put down the numbers. Grossed $461 million domestic, and $314 million foreign, and that's in the first release. That's all like in the release after the release in 1977. It released again in theaters. When did they do the reruns?
96.
I don't even want to know how much. I mean, that man must have a swimming pool filled with $100 bills.
Did you know he was the inspiration for Scrooge McDuck?
Funny. Yeah, you know, and I think if I recall correctly, he did something that not many people did. Didn't he retain all the merchandising rights?
Yes.
Yep.
And I mean, he made his money in the movie, but he made a lot of his money off of merchandising.
Oh yes. If I remember correctly, what's his name? Harrison Ford learned very quickly and took a chunk off of gross receipts instead of a big paycheck, as well. So he did pretty damn well with Star Wars, that's for sure.
Well, what's amazing is that if you really think back, if George Lucas would have been allowed to make Flash Gordon like he wanted to, you wouldn't have Star Wars. Like Star Wars, as Em pointed out, is really just him wanting to do something.
Right.
So just not willing to accept no for an answer gave us like a legacy that has lasted our lifetime.
Yeah.
Oh, and who else works like that? Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
No, you can't make this TV show. Fine, I'll make another one. Nope, can't make that one. I'll make another one. Nope, can't make that one. I will make billions of dollars off a movie, and you will kiss my ass. Yes, yes, we will.
And then will you launch our franchise? Many years later.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
The
movie. Oh, Flash Gordon. Oh, I do love the 1970s remake of that, but I'd love to get my hands on the black and white Flash Gordons of olden day. And I know that they don't hold up as far as technology-wise, which I was thinking today before we were on my third watching of the movie. Maybe George was worried that the films wouldn't hold up because you could see the matting seams, and because there were imperfections and nerds being what we are, we love to pick something apart and point out that the inconsistencies between the first and second movie are just inconceivable. And I wonder if he, if his intent was positive, and he was trying to make sure that the movies held up. But as I watch them, I find that I don't like them all tweeted up and extra critters and stuff. I want to see the old school. That's precisely why I like Battlestar Galactica, the original. I like that. Given the time that they had, the time that they lived in, what they did, it was amazing.
And something charming about seeing maybe some of the imperfections and flaws, just seeing what they had to work with.
Not just imperfections and flaws of what they had to work with, imperfections and flaws about the fact that Darth Vader is looking for the character who has the Force, and she's standing right in front of him in the opening scene of the movie, and he never figures it the fuck out. Except for Luke's like, I had it, my father has it, my sister has it. By the way, that's you.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was awesome.
He does say, he's like, she's, the mind, she's very strong, this one. And when I think back, I'm like, well, of course she's strong, Chucklehead. She has the Force.
But did George Lucas at the time know that she, that she and Luke were going to be, twin brother and sister?
Yeah, that's you got to wonder, like when he kind of did that whole Force bit and decided that they were going to kiss. Did he know that they were brother and sister early? Because if so, that's creeptastic.
Yeah.
He didn't decide that till the third movie. No.
That's a good question. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I don't know what was in the between the first and second movie, 4 and 5. What sort of mythos had been developed, and how much he had planned into the trilogy, that relationship. So, interesting.
And I would like to apologize in advance for the F-bombs because I just get really, really excited by my Star Wars.
Maybe I'll put a rooster crowing in there or something.
$1 in a potty jar.
It was
like a slot machine, ching or something like that.
It was literally all I could do to keep from doing it in the same voice as M.
It was unbelievable.
Oh my! Well,
at what point does Leia realize the man who tortured her and ruined her planet is like her dad?
Well, if she had the Force the whole time, she should have known.
Right?
It's bad. It's so bad. Well, we talked about how it influenced us. I'm going to put the link in the chat for everybody who's in the chat room. Hello, everybody in the chat room. There's an info. I went looking for just one article or a list or something to tell me how Star Wars influenced television and film. So if you click on that link and open up this wonderful infographic by the fine people of Shutterstock, they have this great map of characters and things and just what Star Wars created, which was like this. Star Wars created the well, first before I start talking about it, did you guys click on it?
Yep, I'm open.
You got it open?
I got it open.
Okay. Hold on, let me tell everybody in the chat room. Go and open that link, people. Smiley face.
Lilo Dallas Multipass.
Okay. So, like, there's wonderful little things that were created because of the influence of Star Wars on modern television and film. There's the sci-fi cowboy. And then radiating from there, you see all of some of our favorite sci-fi cowboys, like Peter Quill, Starbuck the boy version, Mad Max. You've got and Captain Malcolm Reynolds. Hello. You've got the adorable mascot robot, the iconic robot that you just love and is the little hero, and that's he's been duplicated in TV and film. The strong female badass, the chosen one. I love when there's a chosen one, and that, you know, you've got Sarah Connors from The Terminator, and Ash Williams from Evil Dead, and Neo from The Matrix. I'm the one. The future imperfect. That's amazing. The Fifth Element, Mad Max, Terminator, RoboCop, and then RoboCop cybernetic prosthetics. All of that. Industrial Light and Magic came out of this. Film trilogies. Before Star Wars, were there film trilogies before?
No.
Like, ever?
Well, there was series. There weren't necessarily trilogies, but you had like the Abbott and Costello movies, which were two people in multiple films together, but not in an overarching story.
Yeah.
Amazing. Unless Industrial Light and Magic.
Right.
I mean, we would not have Pixar. We would not have Go motion animation, which is very smooth. 3D capture, motion capture. Just the different computer programs that were developed because of this movie. It was amazing. Special effects. If I remember correctly, Lucas actually copyrighted the way a laser gun fires and the sound that it makes. So when you see the lasers fire in all the Star Wars films, the shot is a certain length and has a certain sound.
Right.
No one else can use that.
Right. The sound. Yeah.
That's a little OCD for me, but that's kind of awesome.
And if you want to go a little bit further, if it wasn't for Star Wars, you wouldn't have Pixar.
Right.
Because Star Wars, George Lucas used the revenue from Star Wars to create Pixar Image Computer for his future stuff, and then ended up selling that to Steve Jobs.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I think of all the things that Pixar has given us that we've all fallen in love with again and again and again. You know. So.
And as a Star Trek fan, Star Trek would have taken action without Star Wars. They were thinking of bringing Star Trek back to the small screen, and they had all the plans to do it with. But with the success of Star Wars, they thought, well, let's maybe go to the big screen with this. So they're thinking if Star Trek went to the small screen, maybe it would have had a season or two, but it may not have enjoyed the long-term, lasting popularity it had by taking the original series, original cast, going to the movies. But they wouldn't have done that with the success of Star Wars.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think as a growing up as a female, like I did, as I'm looking at the infographic and I see the note about the strong female badass, the different female characters that kind of revolve around, that are much like Leia. So you've got Ellen Ripley, River Tam, Trinity, Katniss, Everdeen, and Buffy. I mean, come on. Oh, and Lilu Dallas, Multipass. Can't go without her. Just, excuse me. It was really nice to see a role where the princess needed a hand. She didn't need saving. She knew what she was doing. She knew what she needed to do to get out of where she just needed a hand to do it. And in some cases, as time went on, you got to see just what an amazing, strong woman that you could be. And there wasn't a lot of that available to girls my age. Whenever after watching that, all of my Barbies had buns on the side of their head.
Well, especially, I would agree with that statement, especially as you watch, like Empire, Return of the Jedi. But did Princess Leia? Maybe I'm interpreting it through the eyes of the guys. I'm going to confess that right up front. But did she seem really to be such a strong character in this first movie that we saw in Episode 4?
Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?
Yeah, I guess there's that.
Into the garbage chute, flyboy!
Yeah,
she's the one that pins down the stormtroopers as the boys escape.
That's right. That's true. You're right. I just wasn't. maybe I'm just thinking about some of the times where she's kind of left in the sideline when the guys go out fighting.
Okay, hold on, back up. If she wasn't such a badass and left a recording in a hallway and put the droids on the escape pod to leave, the movie would never happen.
Yeah, it's true.
So, like, if it wasn't for Leia's badassdom, and when she's confronted with Vader and he blows up her planet, she doesn't, like, fall to pieces. She's just like...
Takes it.
She takes it and is like, I'm just going to take whatever you got, Dad.
She womans up.
That's true. That's true. It's true. Very true.
She wasn't just there and weeping and like, save me, and oh my goodness. You know, when she gets a blaster in her hand, she goes to town.
No, she goes after the stormtroopers early on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Even
even in Spaceballs, where they make a lot of fun of her being a princess, it's my industrial hairdryer, and I can't live without it. You just... I'm sorry, Mike. I saw you had to pull your headphones off.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Even then, they still kept her a very strong female character. He shot my hair. SOB. Pow, pow, pow.
You know, and you're right. She does come off as a very strong woman, I guess, in this one. Maybe, and is this like the first time we see maybe in science fiction this sort of strength coming from a woman, or have we seen that, or was this exhibited before Star Wars?
Well, you got to remember, around the time it was, that was like Barbarella.
That's what I was thinking, yep. Barbarella.
Like, women were like overly sexualized, and, you know, I mean, Barbarella was maybe 8 years beforehand, and instead of being a strong lead female, it was like, I'm really hot, and as long as guys sleep with me, the plot like continues. And the only time Leia kisses anybody is she gives Luke a kiss for luck before they swing across a big ass pit.
That's right.
So yeah, Barbarella was in 1968. Alien wasn't until 1979.
Yes, that was after. Yeah.
Yeah. So even I honestly can't recall. I can't recall unless, like, if you go back to the, like, Cleopatra was an amazing movie where she was a strong, powerful woman, and in that era they had strong women characters, but they were still kind of secondary to the male hero. And in this film, it was like an ensemble of heroes. It wasn't just, you're the good guy, you're the maverick, and you're the princess. It's everyone contributed, everyone kind of looking, I mean, 44-year-old me can look back and see that, but even as a kid, it was my first concept of a team-up, and it was wonderful.
And it was a dysfunctional team-up.
Yes.
Which from a storytelling point of view, we don't see these people get along right away. I mean, there's conflict and friction, and they don't, you know, well...
And that's comedy, too.
Yeah, it has comedy, but it gives the characters a place to go, and it gives a chance that, you know, this team to work through its issues and see if somebody can change and grow and rise to the occasion, or is he going to still be, you know, a scuzz bucket? I mean, which I'm referring to Han Solo. He's at odds with everybody because he's in there for himself, and so he's the one that's creating the conflict. But we see there's a place for him to grow and to change and possibly be a better man throughout this whole journey.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, like, the character is not worried about being a better man. Like, he's initially worried about just getting paid, but then after a while, he's like made fast friends. So it's not that because the bad boy never stops being the bad boy. You just get to see a different side of him.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, even when he comes back, like, he comes and, like, you know, knocks Vader's ship off course, right? Mm-hmm. Even then, you still see when they land, he says, I didn't want you to get all the glory, kid." You know, he has that cocky personality, even though you know that what brought him back is a little bit of heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he started to care. I mean, but I mean, if not necessarily the rebellion and its cause, but for whatever reason he cared for Luke and Leia, and that's why he came back. I mean, he was going to leave, and he was gone for a little while because the Empire was making mincemeat out of the rebel fleet, but
right, yeah, but very good. Where do you want to go from here? Do you want me to ping you with some trivia? Do you want to look at changes? How do you want to do it?
Let's do a little trivia, because if we start talking about the changes, I'm going to start getting angry.
You want to keep this.
I'm going to have some nerd rage.
Oh my god!
Maybe we shouldn't do that then, right?
And then, yeah, and the other article that I found that was kind of fun was there was an article called 11 movies and TV shows that tried to be Star Wars and failed. I'd love to go.
Maybe we should actually talk about that rather than the changes. Let's go ahead. So trivia time. Let's see how well you know this movie. There are 10 questions, and here we go. Number 1. Before every Star Wars movie begins, George Lucas generously provides a short prologue to update viewers of the events in the Star Wars galaxy. Who is the only main character mentioned in the rolling prologue that precedes the events of the original Star Wars film?
Darth Vader.
I was going to give you the options.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So the options are Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia.
I think it's Darth Vader.
I think it's Leia.
We're splitting this. So Darth Vader, 2 for Darth Vader, 1 for Leia. Mike, you standing by Darth Vader?
Standing by Darth Vader.
All right. It is Princess Leia. The mention of Princess Leia occurs in the 3rd paragraph of the prologue. Specifically, it reads, pursued by the Empire's sinister agents, Princess Leia races home aboard her starship, custodian of the stolen plans that can save her people and restore freedom to the galaxy. So, all right. Next question. Question 2. In the opening sequence of the original Star Wars film, features a riveting battle between the Imperial Star Destroyer and a small freighter carrying Princess Leia. Aboard this freighter are R2-D2 and C-3PO. When we first see these 2 droids, who is accompanying them?
When we first see the 2 droids.
Yeah, so here are the options. Princess Leia. Another droid that looks similar to C-3PO. No one. Another droid that looks similar to R2-D2.
I think it was just the 2 of them.
B.
Nope, it's
the droid that looks like C-3PO.
Yep, and I believe it's silver.
Yes. And that is the answer. Is that one, B. The other droid is similar to the appearance of C-3PO, walks in with R2-D2 as C-3PO for a time, but then vanishes into an opening after a short while. The fans of Star Wars have desperately attempted to understand the fate of this misguided droid. Its whereabouts are unknown. Note, since sarcasm doesn't appear on the But anyways, the guy wrote sarcasm into the answer. So,
Nice.
All right, number 3. Who is the first character to utter any kind of speech in the original Star Wars? R2-D2, Princess Leia, Darth Vader, C-3PO.
Who's the first one to talk?
I'm going to say C-3PO.
I agree, C-3PO.
I'm going to say R2-D2.
All right. It was C-3PO.
What?
Figures, doesn't it? C-3PO has a reputation for being a loudmouth. The transcript from his initial conversation is as follows.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, that is. R2-D2 says, bleep, 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 bleep. Yes.
They've shut down the main reactor. We'll be destroyed for sure.
This is madness.
Madness.
Yes. All right. All right. In the last attempt to save the stolen rebel plans to the Death Star, Princess Leia downloads them into R2-D2's memory banks. R2 and C-3PO are then able to depart the freighter after they are on using an escape pod. Why isn't their escape pod destroyed? Here are the 4 options. R2-D2 activates the stealth mode on the escape pod. The Imperial troops hold their fire as there's no life forms on board. The escape pod miraculously avoids being hit despite the shower of laser fire. Must be stormtroopers shooting at them. The escape pod goes on completely undetected.
They don't notice life forms. It's that one.
Correct.
Yes, it is that one. Very good.
It must have released during the explosion.
Yeah, yeah. The lovely Princess Leia is unfortunately captured very early on in the film by the tyrannical Darth Vader, who claims her correctly to be a spy. Princess Leia denies this accusation, suggesting that she is a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to which planet?
Alderaan.
Alderaan.
Yeah, Tatooine, Hoth, Dagobah, or Alderaan. And we're all saying Alderaan, and it is Alderaan.
I didn't even have to look at the list for that one.
Me? I didn't have to look at it. All right. This is question 6. Question 6. R2-D2 and C-3PO land on the planet Tatooine. Which of these would be the best way to describe the climate of this planet so far as a viewer can make out by observation? Oh, this one's easy. Tropical jungle, cold and icy, dry desert, Arctic tundra.
Desert.
Desert.
Yeah, better not say tundra. That was way too easy. Okay, C-3PO is a penchant for name-calling when it comes to conversations with his little buddy R2-D2. During the argument just preceding their breakup after landing on Tatooine, C-3PO refers to R2-D2 by which of the following cruel phrases? Undersized rust bucket, pile of completely uncouth nuts and bolts, round-headed galactic trash heap, nearsighted scrap pile.
I want to say it was Rust Bucket.
A.
So, 2 for A. What, Miles?
I'll go with A.
You go with A? It is not A.
Oh.
R2-D2 is on a mission to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. He, assuming that R2 is he, has a hunch as to which direction he should travel. C-3PO, on the other hand, just wants to be a fussy pants. Just after C-3PO insults R2, he gives his diminutive friend a swift kick and walks off. And he says, nearsighted scrap pile is the right answer. So, this is question 8. As far as the viewer is able to observe, which of the 2 droids is forcibly taken by the Jawas? C-3PO? Neither is forcibly taken. R2-D2? Both are forcibly taken.
Can you read that one more time?
As far as the viewer is able to observe, which of the 2 droids is forcibly taken by the Jawas?
Yes.
R2-D2.
Yeah. My guess is R2-D2.
Yeah, it was R2.
I mean, R2 gets shot and knocked out.
Yep, that's the correct answer. The Jawas make their way to the humble abode of Owen Lars and Baru Whitesun, and those of you who didn't know that Baru had a last name, it was Whitesun, and an uncle of one Luke Skywalker. The intention of the Jawas is to sell several doors to this humble little family. Most importantly, it seems, is that they purchase a translator who speaks which language?
Bachi.
All right, fine. I won't even read the other options.
I'm sorry. It just...
Okay, and that is
Uncle
correct.
Owen.
Yep. This one's a bad motivator. Wow,
Tell your uncle to make sure to get one that speaks Bachi.
that's right. I wanted to go to Tosh Station to get some power converters. You can go play with your friends some other day. All right.
Oh my God, we're totally nerds.
Oh man. Then we're going to start quoting the movie. R2-D2, This is the last question. R2-D2 is among the initial 2 choices made by our own Lars for purchase. True or false?
False.
False.
And
Uncle Owen, yeah? This one's got a bad motivator.
That's
Hey,
right.
what are you trying to do?
Yep. So that is it. That is the question.
That was my best Jowan.
Yeah.
And the award for most censored character in Star Wars goes to R2-D2. You're nothing but beeps.
Yeah. That's right. No doubt. Did you ever see? I think it was R2-D2 translated. And someone put a clip out.
Yes.
You see it with subtitles. It's awesome.
I think I may have, but that's something worth going back and watching.
It is. It's
Yeah,
funny.
they actually, and it makes perfect sense if you listen to the tone. If you listen to the tone of the beeps with what's being said in time, it makes perfect sense.
It is brilliant. It is brilliant.
That's right. And posted, yeah, R2 was shackled.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Poor buddy.
Oh, I know. It's so sad.
So on the infographic, they point out the couple of other characters, a couple of other robots of the future that, and one of them was from one of my favorite movies, which was The Black Hole. Vincent. He was such a sweet little helper, and it's kind of funny that he's on there as their version of an R2, but it's listed in this article. The Black Hole is actually listed in this article about 11 movies and TV shows that tried to be Star Wars and failed. They list Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, tried to be very Star Warsy.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily pick up on that. I mean, that's
so the writers learned, like here it lists that the writers learned their lessons about people wanting actual space opera, namely like battles and bad guys and monsters and lasers and stuff like that. So when the first movie came out, that one was really good, but the second one was so much more of a space opera, like a Star Wars was.
They said that Wrath of Khan failed.
Well, I guess it failed as in, like, it tried to be like Star Wars, but didn't really cut the mustard like Star Wars did.
Well, I mean, it's hailed as being one of the great movies of Star Trek.
It is one of the great movies of Star Trek, yes.
But it doesn't hold a candle to Empire.
Yeah, oh no, it doesn't hold a candle. No, Empire beats it senselessly.
I disagree. It was trying to be like Star Wars.
So not that the movie was trying to be like Star Wars, but that the people behind Paramount saw what we the fans wanted. We wanted an adventure with bad guys, that we wanted battles, we wanted laser beams, we wanted that kind of epic tale. And Star Trek the Motion Picture was just kind of a journey. You know, they went to go pick up their old jalopy and found this neat thing, but it wasn't as epic of a tale like a Star Wars. So there's similarities in the way that the story arcs are crafted. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it was trying to be Star Wars. I think they were just trying to take Star Trek and take the little nuances that made Star Wars successful and add that to the infrastructure of the movie. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, you know it does.
That's some wisdom you dropped right there.
I know. I don't even like. I'm replaying it in my head. I'm like, oh my god, he sounds so smart.
Yeah.
Then another film listed here, which I don't even remember, Krull.
I remember I saw it in theater.
Is that Krull?
Yes. I never saw it. So, like, both of these films have epic rogues that are helping out the hero. They, instead of using like an Alec Guinness to be the wise old sage, they use Freddie Jones, and there's their own little version of a Darth Vader and their own version of stormtroopers. So there was again that taking the infrastructure of Star Wars and overlaying something else on top of it, but it just didn't fit.
You know, it really depends whether they're some of these movies imitating Star Wars. I think certainly was a bad idea, but imitating the heroic structure with the sidekicks, the wise sage, the removal of the wise sage causing the hero to strike out on their own. All these sorts of things certainly have translated into multiple films, and some of these films haven't felt like Star Wars. I mean, Lord of the Rings, obviously based on the novel, but has the same heroic structure, but doesn't feel in any way really like Star Wars.
Well, the question you have to ask is that does Star Wars feel like Lord of the Rings, or does Lord of the Rings feel like Star Wars?
I don't think they feel like each other at all.
Yeah, I don't feel that way.
I mean, as far as story structure.
Oh, well, no, there's so much. The story structure of Lord of the Rings is so much more intricate.
Yeah.
So much more intricate.
Because Lord of the Rings came out initially in the 30s and 40s, so it's likely that Lucas would have read those stories and kind of adopted that narrative of a hero. Because it is, like, if you really look at it, like Star Wars, Luke is kind of going through the same journey that Bilbo is. Like, he didn't want to set out to be a hero. He kind of got pushed into this journey, and then he's just accepting the role.
Right.
And then,
but this is but even Tolkien, if you want to argue it, was pulling all that out from the mythos that he studied. Sir Gawain the Green Knight, You go back into the Legends of King Arthur.
Right.
And this, this story arc, that sort of story arc, the reluctant hero, has filtered down through history. And certainly Lucas would be pulling on probably the more recent history. And I would argue that Lord of the Rings is probably a better written story just from the story standpoint and even the dialogue.
I concur.
Because while I absolutely love Star Wars, there are times I shake my head at the dialogue.
Yeah, it was, it's not perfection,
No.
but for the time, it was amazing. Like, I'm looking through this article and some of these others, like Battle Beyond the Stars, and okay.
Well, hold on. Take a step back and remember that Star Wars came because Lucas wanted to make Flash Gordon.
Right.
Flash Gordon's dialogue, both in the movie and the serial and the comics, was very ham-fisted. Like
That's true.
like Star Wars is just two shades a little bit less cheesy than the Flash Gordon dialogue, but it's not too far off from it.
Yeah. The dialogue did improve as you went through like Empire and then Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
But my understanding is that Lucas had less of a hand in the actual script writing than
Correct.
the first movie. So.
So some of the other movies here, like Space Hunter, The Adventures of the Forbidden Zone, Star Chaser, and the poster for Star Chaser has a blonde dude and a brunette girl with what could be buns and a white outfit that looks a little too Star Warsy. Battlestar Galactica as a TV show, like the fighting the evil robots and. I like this list. I don't agree that these are bad ideas. That these, tried to be like Star Wars. I think they were heavily influenced. Some of them did it well, and some of them didn't. There's one here with girls in bikinis called Star Crash, and by Luigi Cosi. Star Crash featured British and American actors and is most notable for bizarre castings of a very young David Hasselhoff and Christopher Plummer. I want to see this movie.
So what's it called? Star Crash?
Star Crash, made in 1978. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to add this to my Barbarella movie marathon.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible and wonderful.
You can watch the full movie on YouTube.
Done. That's what I'm doing when we're done.
Go and watch Star Crash.
And like the movie The Black Hole, I remember that getting recently when I bring it up, there's part of my collective who were like, "What? That movie's crap." Again, so
I watched it and I liked The Black Hole. It wasn't great. It wasn't the greatest thing, but I liked it.
For 1979, it was pretty badass.
Oh yeah.
The big red robots with this, like those things, I had nightmares for weeks after that movie, and I loved it. I would love to find a Blu-ray version of that film.
I agree.
I think it was kind of awesome. But then again, is that just because we are children of that time?
Yes.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Take into consideration, and I'm going to butcher this, is that like Neil Adams has this amazing quote of like the technology that you're born with is what you accept. Technology when you're a kid is what you live with. The technology that comes when you're 30 is still really new, and then the technology comes when you're older. It's beyond you. So like as the generations kind of start overlapping, the things that like the Hanna-Barbera cartoons that we grew up loving. Kids today would just look at that and just be like, "That's atrocious." Like,
right.
So it's just a matter of perspective and time.
That's true.
Well, given what we loved back then, and then what Lucas decided to change, this list that I found on Wikipedia of the changes were it's just huge. There's little teeny tiny things, like little quick fixes. But it's when they re-released the special editions.
So why can we start off by talking about the changes that maybe didn't bug us, and then go into the ones that absolutely annoy us?
They all bothered me.
I'm a purist.
Well,
that-
tell me. So, because all of it does kind of, not all of it irks me, but what doesn't irk you guys?
Well,
Okay,
I think,
what?
Well, I
Go
think
ahead.
what doesn't irk me is the wipes and the fades. Like that's fine. I'm fine with them changing the wipes and the fades. I don't feel like I need that. Doesn't really change the story for me. If he wants to throw dewbacks on like Tatooine, fine. Throw dewbacks on stormtroopers on dewbacks. It makes it a little bit more authentic when the stormtroopers go down there to kind of look for him. And fleshing out the town doesn't really bother me. What bothers me is when you start replacing characters with characters from the new movie franchise. I don't mind they can tweak the music, necessarily, or they make the lightsaber look a little bit better. But I think for me, the thing that really annoys me is characters. When you start replacing original characters with newer characters because you want a sense of continuity.
So, like, I have to agree with you. The changes in I think it's the 1997 trilogy, like, all of those 1997 trilogy changes just feels like Lucas had the ability to make some changes that he really wanted to make and couldn't due to budget. Like,
Right.
there's an insert of a scene that was cut. There's new establishing shots of Ben Kenobi's location. Han Solo no longer runs at a dead end. There's some changes that, like, those kind of make sense. It's not until you get to the 2004 trilogy release where they do exactly like you said. They replace characters, established characters. They inserted a CG Jabba the Hutt that just looks so bad because they have to explain why Han Solo was awkwardly stepping on his tail. Like, there's just so many things that you should have just left alone. So, I mean, where I get angry is 2004, not 1997.
Yeah.
They changed a pivotal piece, a pivotal scene that for me encompassed who Han Solo was. The scene with Greedo and Han in the bar, and like having Greedo fire first so that Han has to die. And you can see, I watched it today. I watched that scene over and over again, and they digitally moved his head like he dodged it. And then there's his gunfire. That I don't like that because you've just changed his story.
When did that change happen, though? That wasn't the 97 version.
No, that was the
in
97.
2004. Was
That
it
was
the
the 90.
97?
Hold on, no, that was
That has to be
97.
earlier. That happened.
That's honestly, like, Em, I got to agree with you. That was the 97 change, which started the Han shot first thing.
Yeah. But it wasn't just like replacing people. It was changing the mythos of a character.
Okay,
That
so I
was
would like
upsetting to me.
to amend my previous statement. All changes, with the exception of Han shot first to the 1997 trilogy, are okay with me, but 2004 should never have happened. Because that's basically like Lucas rewriting history and making the old movies fit in the new movie universe.
Yeah. Just looking here.
Some of the so adding in some of the effects, like when things explode, it doesn't bother me as much. They changed. I did like the scene between Luke and Biggs when they added that in because that was his pal, and it's kind of nice. There was something else that I had noticed, and it actually kind of irked me because Luke
Are you
was talking
like
to somebody.
Obi-Wan's?
In your information that you had, it was the 93 version that they changed the Han shot first, not the 97.
Wow, it was even back then.
Yeah, so it says they changed it. They changed a bunch of stuff. I mean, they got rid of the blur underneath the land speeder that they had in 93.
Right.
So I mean, some of that stuff was good.
So yeah, Wikipedia needs to be updated because it's got the Han shot first under his 97.
Yeah.
There was a moment where Luke calls out to somebody, and they change it from something to something else. I thought I had highlighted it on the list. Mos Eisley, Han shot first, Jabba the Hutt. Alderaan ring explosion.
Well, let me back up, Mike. The way it's listed here on our page, we have a special edition episode 4, A New Hope, but there's no date. I assumed it was a definitive collection, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
So, just to clarify, you might be still right. I just wonder what I had here. Yeah.
Where was
But at least they credited James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader.
Yes.
I didn't realize he'd gone uncredited.
Yeah,
He was
he'd been
uncredited.
largely uncredited.
Yeah, in the first one. So now one of the most iconic voices. He's voicing like everything from Walmart commercials to everything now.
I love that man. Oh, here it is. So there's Luke is hollering. So in the original film, he yells, "Blast it, Biggs, where are you?" And they change it to Wedge because Wedge Antilles becomes, kind of important. He's the only other pilot that hasn't died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the little tweaks and stuff, I'm fine with. I'm with you, but when you change the mythos and the history, it makes me sad.
What really bothers me the most was the changes to Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, at the very end.
Where they CG alter Darth Vader, old white Darth Vader, to have the same scars as like the Christian Haydenson, where the puppet Yoda was perfectly fine, and just to replace them, it was just bad.
There was no need.
And to put young Christian Hayden's like as the ghost, like it's stupid.
Oh, you're in episode 6 now.
Well, no, that's for me where the biggest changes really take place.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So the worst change in A New Hope is
The Greedo shot.
the Greedo shot. Yeah,
Mhm.
everything else is kind of superfluous.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact I like the fact that they expanded Mos Eisley when you go into it.
Yeah.
Like, right, I mean, it's such a dinky. On one hand, you have this dinky little rustic town, and that certainly has its charm, right? But then the fact that it's much more of a larger town, a thriving hive of villainy, right? Seems to fit. As
Yeah, it's
well.
supposed to be a spaceport, so
It makes sense that it's bigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We can probably go round about that for a while, but
I would agree with the hand shot one first.
yeah, I agree.
All right. So this is my turn to ask you. So this is switch the interview around for a second. Not that it's an interview.
Ooh.
Starting with Miles, what is each of your favorite scene in Star Wars: A New Hope?
My favorite scene. Probably to me one of the most favorite scenes, and I kind of reenacted this as a child, but mostly when I had to do it by myself, was when Luke and Leia swung across the tractor beam room because the bridge was gone. To me, that was just the coolest thing in the world, and I had a thing for like ropes and grappling hooks and like swinging across things.
And Princess Leia.
Yeah, but I mean, I was 7, 8 years old, so liking girls then wasn't really a priority.
Right.
but swinging across a big room with on a rope or something like that, I thought that was that definitely resonated with me.
It's being one of your favorite scenes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Em, how about you?
So they're on the Millennium Falcon, and Luke is starting to do the whole training thing, and he's like any kid who's excited to I want to do something new. He's got all of these emotions. He's got all of this drive to succeed, to make things happen. He's lost his family. He's just figured out that there's a whole other world available to him. He's kind of crazy, and Ben makes him put the little shield down, but with the visor on, I can't see. How am I supposed to? And like through all of it, Ben is just very calm and collected, and you need to calm yourself and feel the force flowing through you and find that inner peace, which is a very yoga kind of therapeutic thing to do when you're having all those emotions and all those things at the same time. And I think that moment, where Luke kind of he pauses physically, you see him pause, and then he does what he can do when he gathers himself and just frees his mind, and he does what he needs to do. He blocks the shots from the little tester thing. That to me was kind of pivotal. That to me is when Luke Skywalker truly became I knew he would be the hero. And that moment always stands. It's my favorite moment of all the films.
Hmm.
But with the blast shield down, how am I supposed to see? Big whiny little snot. I'll show you what you're gonna see. Pow!
For me, I think my favorite scene probably. Well, I'm kind of stuck because there's a lot of good scenes. I love when the TIE fighters are going up against the Death Star. Like, these puny little TIE fighters going against this mammoth Death Star. It's just,
X-Wings?
yeah, so what did I say? TIE fighters? Yeah, well, wrong class there. Okay, X-Wings going up, and then when they open their X-foils into attack position, it's just, the X-Wing, had to be one of my favorite ships in the movie, besides the land speeder. But Mike, how about you? Favorite scene?
Actually, mine is a little bit further after your favorite scene, and I want you guys to go back and rewatch the movie for this moment. This moment where sheer awe of the Millennium Falcon completely destroys Darth Vader's plans. So if you go back and you watch Star Wars: A New Hope, you've got Luke racing up the pit in his X-Wing, and he initially has Darth Vader and 2 TIE fighters on him, and then you see one of them get blasted, and then the other TIE fighter looks up, and that's when you get the yeehaw, and you see the Millennium Falcon come in, and the next shot, I kid you not, is that initial TIE fighter kind of like losing its balance, banging into Darth Vader, blowing up into a wall, and sending Darth Vader spinning into the space. So like, if it wasn't for the TIE fighter getting distracted by the Millennium Falcon, Luke would have never had the opportunity because Darth Vader had him dead in sights. So it's just this big long scene is that the shot goes down the hole, and then for no reason whatsoever, there's these inexplicable scenes of people on the Death Star just doing their jobs before it blows up. So it's just like, if you really think about it, everybody's wrapped up in Luke hitting the shot, but it's those moments between when he fires and what actually the Death Star blowing up. It's just pure comedy to me.
That's true. That's true.
So here's a question for you guys. The TIE fighter, what does TIE stand for?
Ooh.
Don't look it up.
Twin ion engine.
Ooh, Miles got it.
Say it again, Miles.
Twin ion engine.
Very good. Did you look it up?
No?
No. This
Nice.
is Falcon useless information.
Yep.
Pulling it from. By the way, I did have to mention when we talk about scenes, the scariest scene in Star Wars for me as a kid. Can you guess what it is?
The Force choke.
No, that's good too. But the trash compactor scene. That creature in there sucking Luke down. Man, even my son, when he watched it, got a little bit wide-eyed.
I think the best part of that creature is you never really see it.
And I think that's what made it so scary. You didn't know that creature does have a name, and I did find it sometime, and I can't remember it right now.
I can't remember. I do remember my so I can't remember if my brother got it as a birthday or Christmas gift, but we still do have the album that told the story of the first movie that you could listen along, and it came with a booklet, and we used to play act it out, and I loved it because it was the only time my brother and my godbrothers would play with me, because it was young. I was a lot young. My brother and I are 5 years. He's 5 years older than me. And all of those guys were older than me, so they needed a girl, and I was, yay! And my god sister wanted nothing to do with anything to do with science fiction, so it was awesome. And when my next door neighbor, Jonathan, and my brother and I, we'd all get together and we'd play Star Wars. They had the best couch that if you took it was one of those sectionals that
Uh-huh.
had all the little squares. So we would make it a little square and then put all the pillows and stuff in it so it would be like the trash compactor. And I can't tell you how many times we pretended we were stuck in the trash compactor. It
That's
was,
awesome.
I just had a flashback when you talked about it,
Yeah.
about of that moment, of those many moments playing with them.
Yeah, and by the way, the creature's name is the Dianoga, Noga, Dianoga is the name of the creature. I did have to look it up. But my favorite part of that scene, too, is when C-3PO thinks that he's killed them.
They're
Yes.
dying all too.
Oh.
I've killed them.
Yeah.
He's such a pain in the neck. Oh my God,
He is, but it's what makes his character. This
I know, but they're like two little sweet old gay men. You've got the really anal retentive one, and then the really calm, like, don't worry, I've got this figured out.
Right.
Have you ever seen the movie The Birdcage, or seen the musical The Birdcage? The two main characters of that film and of that story, that to me is C-3PO and R2-D2.
C-3PO is so Nathan Lane.
I know, right? I passed the toast. It's completely those two.
Oh man.
Okay, that comparison to Birdcage and Star Wars, I think nothing can beat.
They're
Man.
two cutest. They're like the cutest old couple ever. They're just like they are, and they are old because they've been together a very long time. Although I'm very curious. So I remember in the fan film that they talk about wiping C-3PO's brain.
Right.
But did they wipe R2, or does R2 like have all of this knowledge and he's just
R2's got it all.
Yeah,
he's rolling?
Yeah, he's just not spilling the beans.
Why do you think he's so angry?
Yes, you pierced the toast.
Yeah. Well, they always had to with C-3PO being such a talker. You know, he would have.
He would have spilled the beans.
No.
I'm going through the quotable lines here, and the C-3PO ones are the best. We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life.
That is great.
Oh, such a pud.
Where do you have the quotable lines at?
Oh, I'm on IMDb looking at them.
There's.
You just consider playing that message for him. No,
Hold on.
I don't think he likes you at all. No,
I'm going
like you either.
I'm going to give you a quote. You tell me which movie it came from, A New Hope or The Birdcage. And the quote is, "Don't give me that tone."
Oh, it could be either one.
Right?
I know.
I think it's New Hope.
Yeah.
Nope, it is Birdcage.
Oh,
Because the next line is, "What tone?" "That sarcastic, contemptuous tone that means you know everything because you're a man, and I know nothing because I'm a woman."
oh my. Yeah.
I have been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again, for the first time, for the last time. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner, but now I am the master, but only a master of evil, Darth. Swing! I mean, come on! It's awesome!
It is classic.
Epic.
Yeah. It is
Oh, and Han Solo. It's the beginning of Han Solo giving Princess Leia crap endlessly. Like the line, here it is. "Look, your worshipfulness, let's get one thing straight. I take orders from just one person, me." "Well, it's a wonder you're still alive." Chewie pushes back. "Will someone get this big walking carpet out of my way?" No reward is worth this.
Classic line.
She had she was just such. Someone get this big walking carpet out of my way. She just didn't give a crap. She was on a mission.
She didn't care that this was a Wookiee. She didn't care that this Wookiee could tear off her arm. She was.
Well, the moment you knew that Han Solo was in love with her, he's like, "Wonderful girl. Either I'm going to kill her or I'm beginning to like her."
Right. And I love the way he kind of, digs at Luke before Luke knows that Leia's his sister. Like saying, "Yeah, well, maybe. What do you think? A guy like me and a girl like her?"
No, never.
Never. But, yeah.
And there is it through the three movies. You get this hint of relationships between friends, between acquaintances, between dear friends who become family, friends who find out that they're family, two friends who are really just kind of oil and water, but then become, you add a little vinegar and it makes a wonderful salad dressing.
Right.
That just all these beautiful relationships without the Annie, you're breaking my heart. Padme bull crap that I cannot stand.
Where
And
are you pulling that from, man?
from some fan film I saw.
Okay.
There's a really actually well written article that Padme did not die of a broken heart. So if you go back and you watch the explanation for that, the droids say that like she died of unknown causes, and it's the Force that killed her, because that's why Annie can still sense her, and then he can't anymore.
Ooh.
So that is the only part of that movie that I'm like, wow, that makes sense.
That's interesting.
Because Palpatine pulled the Force out of her and put it into Vader.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm still annoyed by it because it doesn't need to be there.
I'm with you.
The book is much better.
Oh, I agree.
If you have to read Revenge of the Sith, the book, it is much better. It's much better. In fact,
I completely agree.
It redeems. So I watched the movie and then read the book and then watched the movie again and had a different appreciation. Jar Jar still bugged me, but I had a different appreciation because there was stuff. My mind was filling in all the gaps, and I just thought it worked much better. The novelization is incredible. You get insight into Darth Vader that you just don't get. I need to go back and reread it because it's one of my favorite Star Wars books.
The novelizations of the fan films?
Of the fan films.
Of the fan films, but especially Revenge of the Sith.
So one of the things that I loved is that they had tie-in books between each of the movies.
Right.
And they never bothered to explain in the third movie where Anakin gets the scar over his eye. But that scar is directly from what just happened in the tie-over book.
Was it
really?
was that the approaching storm?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, and I mean you have some great authors. So who was it? Michael Stockpole, was he the guy that wrote Revenge of the Sith?
I do not know.
But then like Alan Dean Foster did one, and then Terry Brooks did another one of the fan film novelizations, and they were well written. They were well written books. You feel Anakin's pain as he's kind of going through his loss, and it doesn't make him seem so selfish in it. It seems like his loss and the fact that he turns to Palpatine seems very justified, even though it's absolutely wrong and selfish.
Yeah. But we're here to talk about A New Hope, not fan films.
Very, very, very true. Very true.
So, in talking about The New Hope, I kind of fished around on the Facebooks for. I asked other folks the same questions. We asked each other when we started. Where were we the first time we saw it? What's the first impression that it left on you? And I got a lot of mixed. Like a lot of people are my age and saw it in the theater for the first time. I think my favorite little comment was that from Christina Diddle. I was 5 years old in my grandmother's basement at 2 in the morning. The covers were metallic and shiny, and I just remember being so entranced that it stuck with me ever since. That's fantastic. I'm really grateful that people kind of filled in and shared their first timers. Like here's another one. I saw Star Wars in the theater with my family. I think it was 1977, so I would have been about 6 or 7 years old. I was really pleased to see how many people like my age saw it, but then how many people caught it on VHS and just kind of grew up with it knowing that it was important to watch.
Yeah.
Well, it brought a whole new generation of fans when it came back, when they re-released them in the movie theaters in the 90s and re-released the toys. I mean, so it even brought more fandom.
Oh, yeah.
Created more fandom.
Yeah. My wife's comment, First time she saw the film, she was with me and fell asleep 20 minutes in.
Aww.
Didn't buy her. She does, and I'm making fun of her, but she does love. There's certain sci-fi she loves. Star Wars is not. She's a huge Firefly fan. Loved the X-Files. Even into Battlestar Galactica a little bit, but not Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody else here posted Roxy Bermside Lovejoy. She saw it when she was 4 at a drive-in. You weren't 4, but you saw it at a drive-in, Miles?
Yes.
That's fantastic. Let's see. I was sitting in the back seat. My sister was in the car seat, and I remember the shots of Tatooine and Darth Vader. I was obsessed with Vader, and he was my own personal boogeyman as a child. My mother used him as a threat all the time. If you don't go to bed, I'm going to tell Darth Vader. Flash forward to 4th grade. We were sitting at our table talking about Star Wars and Empire, which would have been in heavy rotation on HBO. We've learned Roman numerals and figured out there were more novels to this series that hadn't been made. That's awesome.
Wow.
I love these little stories that everybody gave.
Yeah, there's some good ones here. I had someone else that said they saw it 4 years old at a drive-in, Columbia Drive-In. It used to be right down the road from where we're at. But, yeah. Well, is there anything else that we have failed to mention tonight as we talked about Star Wars?
So much. We could
go on for hours.
This could be a 24-hour long podcast, and we still wouldn't have scratched the surface.
The one thing that I didn't look up, it just dawned on me, not how Star Wars influenced movies, but how many Star Wars Easter eggs are in movies. Like in E.T., when they're trick-or-treating, and there's the one kid dressed as Yoda.
Yeah.
And E.T. reacts like he knows them.
Yes.
Or better yet, that C-3PO and R2-D2 are etched into the wall in, I believe it's Temple of Doom.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot about that.
And then you have Battlestar Galactica, R2-D2 floats by the window.
That's right.
Yeah, and then in the not in the darkness, but the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie had R2-D2 throwing in the trash in the debris field of all they destroyed. Destroyed. What do they call
Starships?
Yeah, starships.
There's also
that's right. They also have the Firefly in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they also have. There is a frozen Han and Carbonite in majority of the episodes of Firefly. You can see it most notably in, I think it's Objects in Space, where Kaylee's listening to the guy's, I guess recording of his passing, and it's right above her knee.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And I've watched Firefly how many times? Never noticed it.
Yeah, it's noticeable in at least 7, but from what I understand, they hit it in every episode.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. All these little teeny tiny nods that are perfect are just, they're wonderful little, for Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the big giant ship that comes down at the end, spoilers, there's aliens that come to the planet if you haven't seen it in the last 40 years.
Yeah. Not really a spoiler.
That prop is on display at the Udvar Hazy Air and Space Museum here in Dulles, Virginia. And if you walk around it, they've hidden all sorts of fun little things on it. Like there's a VW bus, there's a mailbox, there's an R2-D2.
Nice.
Nice.
Like Mike said, we could spend 24 hours talking about this movie. And I'm pretty sure there are other podcasts that have lasted even longer than ours.
Right. We'll try to keep us a little bit over an hour, so.
Right. And we're going to do this with episodes 5 and 6, and then, folks will be hearing this in December because we'll have them lead up until the release of episode 7.
Yep, that gives me plenty of time to edit them.
So, what nods? I think this is probably a really good way to go out. What nods do you expect to see in the new trilogy to the old trilogy?
Ooh.
Well, we already have the spoiler in the one trailer. If they keep it, is the burned and melted mask of Darth Vader. is certainly there.
Excellent.
I just wonder who's going to say, I have a bad feeling about this.
The first, right? The first one to
Yes.
say it. We definitely need the Wilhelm scream somewhere in there.
Yeah, there needs to be a Wilhelm in each of them. I'm sure that
Yeah,
that's been
absolutely.
sorted.
That's a requirement.
What I love is that they've already set up the 3 new characters to be pretty much Luke, Leia, and Han.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is that Luke and Leia have switched genders. So they have the cocky pilot, but Leia is actually
The one.
the one.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think I need the first movie to give me something new to expect and enjoy. But I was so thrilled when Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill and Peter Mayhew and all of them were coming back, and that there is definitely a base of them. There's
Right.
the importance of who those characters were to carry on the next generation of the story. So I when the trailer came out, when the one of the newer trailers came out, that at the very end you hear Han say, "Chewie, we're home," and there's Han and Chewie and the interior, and my skin just kind of sparkled white, this cold white feeling of, oh
Yeah.
my God, it's them. I may have actually started clapping like a little kid, but I was 6 years old again when I saw that on the big giant screen, and to see that kind of epicness again on a big giant screen.
Yeah,
The story has to be good, but I want a little piece of my childhood back, damn it. Darn
well,
it.
I have a feeling that this is as close as we're going to get.
That's fine.
Yeah, I
As
don't
long
think
as you respect the past, if you respect what's been put in place, and you're going to deliver something on top of that will continue to do it, fine. I just don't feel like those other movies truly respected the story as it was. I think
Right.
they went back. Then there was just way too much commercialization. Way too much. How much money can we make off of this? How much merchandising can we make off of this? And the story is important to me.
Right. And Boba Fett. I'm glad Disney announced that Boba Fett
Ooh,
live.
here's a trivia question. When is the first time you see Boba Fett in the Star Wars world?
It all depends.
Now, let me say that again. When is the first time that
Empire.
you see Boba Fett ever in our timeline, in our world, in the world of Star Wars as it is?
It's
When was
Empire.
the first appearance?
Empire.
No, the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Winner!
That's right. I forgot he was in there.
It was in the Life Day special.
There's the cartoon.
Wait, hold on.
they had.
I'm confused on timelines. I thought the holiday special came out after Empire.
No, it came
Before
out
Empire.
between New Hope and Empire.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I remember Han and Boba were kind of buddies in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing Disney needs to get their hands on.
The holiday special.
Yes, they can fix that all they want. They can take B. Arthur out if they want. They can take Art Carney out if they want. They can do whatever they want to that special and make
But they
it.
have to leave creepy Grandpa with no teeth.
Yeah, they do. That's true.
Oh.
Ah!
All right. Well, I guess that brings us up to the end of the show, right?
Right.
I think
Well,
so. I think we're all. Oof.
Well, we could keep talking certainly, but hey, Mike, we were so appreciative that you joined us tonight to talk about Star Wars.
Well, I will go anywhere to talk about Star Wars. I just
Yeah.
appreciate you accept my enthusiasm and occasional nerd bomb of obscenities because
Oh, I got editing ahead of me, don't I? Hey, before you go, is there anything that you want to plug that you're working on that you just want to talk about real quickly?
no.
All right.
You know what? Pick up your copy of Ninjas vs. Monsters at ninjasverse.com. It's got Daniel Ross and Corey Okuchi, who are both in Ninjas vs. or who are both in ZCon. Um, by the time this comes out, there's this is so far away from when this will actually there's so much going to happen between. So this is a little bit of a timey-wimey thing going on, because when you actually release this, crap will have gone down. So here's what I will recommend. Go to facebook.com/ZCon movie, and you will see a big thing that happened prior to this podcast being released.
There you go.
Oh, I like it.
There you go. A little bit of, and of course, if you're listening to the live stream, you can go there now, but nothing.
You'll have to wait.
There's nothing now. You have to wait.
Yeah.
Suckers.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much, guys and gal. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It was awesome. Thanks for arranging it. I know, Em, you did a ton of the arranging for this. Appreciate the way you put this together. So.
My pleasure.
Oh, Chewy's staring at me in the face. I'm scared.
Oh,
I'm so
brother.
scared. I'm so scared.
Would somebody move this giant walking carpet, please?
Yeah. All right. Well, I believe that about does it. Let's go ahead and wrap up the show here.
All right. Till next time, good night and good luck.
We'll see ya.
Do your dailies.
Very good. Mike, do you want to We need to put the Cantina song in there.
Okay, I have one. I have one slight request.
Yeah.
Go ahead, shoot.
Anytime I have accidentally, and I apologize again,
No,
dropped
it's
it. No, you've got to replace it with like an R2D2.
I can do that.
Oh, yes.
Either that or the Wookiee War.
Either one, but like
the R2D2 would be funny.
Do the R2D2.
Okay.
Because I feel like R2D2's dropping the F-bomb left and right. We just don't.
Right.
I'm on the sensors, right?
And it's fitting, and it would be funny because I actually make mention of that during the podcast.
Yeah, we do. We do talk about that, don't we? All right, guys. Well, hey, I got to get rolling. We got jobs that most of us go to, daytime jobs, and but thanks, Mike, again so much for joining us. And
anytime.
I will begin editing this. I guess we don't have a show coming out in the next 2 weeks because this is our show, right?
No, we're not releasing this till December.
Right. So
we still have a couple things from shortly.
Right. Did you guys ever record any sort of introductions for that yet?
I haven't thrown any bumpers together. Just I can just throw a couple in.
Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that here before we log off real quick. If you just want to.
Okay.
Short.
Since you guys are cleaning up shop, I'm gonna hop off.
Hop off. Hey, thanks for joining
Bye,
us.
baby.
Bye, Michael.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Yeah. All right. So you just got to decide which one were you talking about releasing?
Well, as far as the interview, I think we agreed the Tony Kern interview.
That sounds great.
But
do we want to do an introduction to like 2 different ones, and then I can release like one next week and one the following week?
Sure. Yeah.
Or something like that.
Perfect.
All right. So you just got to decide. Let me stop this feed, and then start a new project so I have it on a separate track. All right, are you guys ready to go? We'll do Tony Kern first.
Okay.
Hold on 1 sec. Hey, Dave. Okay. I don't know. I've actually been off the internet for like 2 days. I've been doing research for a couple of things, but performance matters. Oh, wow. Oh, shoot. Oh, I know what this is about. Yeah, so there's a lot of great talent in video games and cartoons doing voiceover, but the pay is crap. Even scale is ridiculously crap. It is less. Their union scale is minuscule compared to screen time scale pay. So there's a lot of people, like the few things that I've done that have been commercial have been like for not a lot of money, but luckily they're local, so it's not like I laid out a lot of money to get there. But people who put in a lot of time and effort, sometimes they just get a flat rate, and then the game makes millions and millions of dollars, and the talent sees nothing of that. So a lot of that is, and it's a conversation that's been going on for a long time, but it looks like the poop has finally hit the wall, and and it's that's great. It's great that they can go on strike, which kind of stinks because that means I might get more phone calls to do work. And I would be a scab, and because I'm starting, I can't say no. So this is going to be interesting. I need to read up on this. How interesting. And it's funny too, because I was just talking to a guy this weekend about getting my demos redone, and then taking a couple of courses and getting to know and getting an agent. And he was telling me not to go union, and you get more work if you're not union, but you also, like, it kind of stinks because if you're a union actor and you work really hard, you probably won't see the money that you should. So that's kind of interesting that you called me about this. Yeah, it's just, I didn't realize it had come to a head. Okay. Right. Right. So I have a feed on Twitter that's just the voice actors that I follow, and it's all over that. Yeah. This is what I get for actually doing work and not paying attention to the internet for 24 hours. I know. How else will I know these things? That's very interesting. All right. Well, thanks. Bye. Holy cow.
Yeah, it sounds like stuff's breaking down.
So it looks like video game voice actors are voting on a strike with the hashtag of performance matters. If things don't change in interactive media, our video games might start sounding very different. Right now, video game voice actors are voting in a general ballot with SAG-AFTRA, the actors union that covers film and TV, on the issue of the strike in the field of interactive video game media. To that end, the Performance Matters hashtag on Twitter is trending and buzzing, with both fans showing support and performers talking about their craft. Actors like William Slayers from Mass Effect, Grey Griffin from Batman Arkham. Oh wow. Oh my God, the people from World of Warcraft. Half these people are going to be at the con this weekend and at New York Comic Con. Oh shit, that means they might not show up. This is big. This affects EA Games, Activision, Disney, Warner Brothers, any DC games, any Marvel games, any online gaming, any MMOs. This could be this could be a big deal. I'm glad it is, because that means the people with the talent will get the work. Will get paid for their work, I should say.
Yeah, definitely.
Because frankly, I'd like to get paid for the voiceover work I do.
All right.
Although
go ahead.
Oh no, one of the guys that I was talking to, who was telling me about an agent, he's like, "Well, if your podcast isn't national, you might want to quit that." And I said, "You know what? over my cold dead body am I quitting my podcast. I'm not, no. Unless like the Nerdist comes knocking at my door and says, "Hey, we'd like you to be on this show, but you got to step away from your fellas." I would still wait a few minutes. It would be hard.
Dude, if you shirked us for the Nerdist, I would totally understand.
Okay. I think that would probably be the only place I would that I would even leave. If I were to leave, I would only leave for them. And then I would try and bring you guys with me. I need my buddies. I need my bitches.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
So
so
you
we'll do
want
a little bit of recording here. We'll do
Yes.
2 quick introductions, and then we can call it.
Okie doke. Lead the way, mister.
All right. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Herzog.
Hello, I'm Miles McLaughlin.
Hi, I'm M. Ciro Garcia.
And tonight we don't really have a regular show, but we want to share with you a very special interview that we did at Shore Leave 37. Right? And this guy, in my understanding, was awesome. I was in one of the interviews he kind of barged in on. We'll probably shut an interview later, but who are we talking about tonight?
The awesome Tony Curran.
And Em, how might people know Tony Curran?
Well, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you will know him as Vincent Van Gogh of
I was wondering if that'd be the first thing you'd mention.
It is the first thing. It is my favorite thing that I have seen him in, and I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He is Detectar of Defiance. He was in Underworld Evolution. He was in the League of Extraordinary Men. He was in Tintin. He was in Gladiator. He's been in a lot of great, delicious things. And I love it. I love it when he gets to act in his own voice because he's got that great quintessential Scottish accent. But you can't miss him if you're a Defiance fan. He just plays a deliciously self-serving evil SOB.
Definitely.
But a tremendously nice guy at a convention.
Oh, just a dear, just an absolute dear.
Yeah, totally not like his character.
Totally.
He was just well lovely, and he was very open to a quick cuddle, and like every time we just kind of bumped into each other, he was real sweet with the quick, like it's a very European thing when you see, you give them a quick hug and the 2 kisses on either side. And I'm not used to that here in the US. I'm only used to that when I'm like overseas with my family. So with him, it was just kind of natural. And I was, "Oh, Tony, how are you?" with the kiss. And then this girl on the other side of the table was looking at me like, "Who are you? And why are you kissing him?" Because I can. Because I can. That's why I'm kissing him. Suck it. He's delightful and so talented and kind of mischievous.
Yeah.
He was a little mischievous on you, Miles, while you were interviewing someone.
Yeah, he interrupted and crashed my interview with what's his name?
Jamie.
Jesse.
Not Jesse Rath.
Jesse.
Yeah. So, but it was okay. It was all good fun, and I saw his session. It was a family, and he's just a fun guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a fun guy. I had to thank him for coming because he just made the con so much more fun that weekend.
He did, and you're gonna, in this interview which I did with him, you're gonna hear something that I don't really talk about in this world very much, but if you've seen the Vincent Van Gogh episode, you know that it deals with trying to handle life and mental issues and dealing with depression and that kind of thing. And that show is quintessential for me because it was a really beautiful visual way to explain to people that sometimes when my depression gets the best of me and my brain just doesn't want to compute things very well, sitting down with a family member and watching it, and sometimes I'm not going to cut my ear off, and I'm not painting crazy pictures to pay for drinks, but it was a beautiful, important piece to me, and to hear how he was very careful and cared about delivering something that really mindfully delivering a performance that was caring and loving and was true and honest. It meant a lot to me. So you'll hear me talk about that with him. And then he went on. He's like, we traded emails real quick about a couple of things. He put on my tiara. That's right. I need to send you the picture of the tiara.
Oh, definitely, I'll throw it up. So I think I might have it somewhere.
I think you put it on Facebook.
Yeah, I probably ripped it down on Facebook.
Good.
So, all right. Well, I think that's about it. We will. We're going to share this interview, and we hope you enjoy it. Anything else you guys want to say? That's good. That's good. All right. Awesome. Very good. Let's just do that one. My son's waiting for me, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I need to get home.
I should wrap it up.
It's late.
So.
All right,
Em.
fellas.
Hey, we'll catch.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.